Hey guys, so I'm going to go over how you would fill out the Persona workbook. So for the example, I'm going to be using my Western Digital hard drive here, and I'm going to basically try to imagine what Western Digital was thinking of in terms of their target market when they designed this particular hard drive. That gives you a sense of what it is exactly. And I'm going to close my screen so you don't see me, but I'm going to show you what I've written down when I filled out the form for this particular example. So this is starting on page 4 of that worksheet. So what I want you to do is to list the features of the object on the left-hand side and on the right side, the benefit. And I want you to think of at least 5 features and 5 benefits. So for that hard drive I showed you, it's palm-sized. It is a high-speed USB. It has a metal case. It's black, and there's a little light in the front. Now, the thing is that features don't actually sell your product, your app, when we get to our final. It's the benefits that sell it. So what do those features give you? Why are they features? Well, in this case, the particular hard drive is palm-sized. It's portable. It's easy for me to transport around. I could also say that it's lightweight. That might be a feature. And again, that benefit would be the portability. The high-speed USB means that it can serve game files really quickly, or it could serve movie files and I could watch them back in real time. I could use it when I worked in video production. You need high-speed drives in order to be able to edit. You could edit off of this. It's specifically, this hard drive was made as a gaming drive. It's made to go with an Xbox. And so I know that this particular hard drive can serve game files fast enough for me to play a game off of. Now, it's made out of a metal case. Well, why do I care what the case is made out of? Well, it's sturdy, so there's that. I'm not worried that my files are going to get corrupted if I drop it or it's going to break or anything. It's black, okay, well, maybe people think that that looks cool. The fact that it's going with an Xbox means that you know it's going to fit in with what's next to it. It's not going to stick out and draw attention to itself. It fits in with the game system. And the light on the front, you're like, well, what's that for? Well, for someone like me who's using it with a laptop, I know when that drive's in use. I know that if my computer isn't recognizing it, it's not because power isn't going to it. Or I know not to accidentally unplug it because my computer's using it at the time. So that's the benefit for that, and I'm not going to corrupt my data. So think about what it is about the object that you have that makes it work. And why would someone pick that as a feature? The reason you pick features is because it does something for the user in the end. So you can list as many as you want. There's plenty of lines here. I have given you an example, by the way, of what I wrote out when I was doing this for the business that I decided to try for a little bit. So it gives you an idea of like what this looks like when you kind of work through it yourself. Now, once you've figured out some of the features and benefits, the next thing you want to think about is who wants these features and benefits? Who cares about your product? As she says, you're trying to satisfy a specific need, desire, or you want to solve a specific problem. So what I want you to think about is at least 2 desires or 2 problems that the object that you found would solve. So for example, you want an external hard drive because if it's for an Xbox, you want to have more games that fit on your system, or you want to, in my case, I bought it because I wanted to be able to back up my files and make sure that I knew that I had access to them no matter where I was. Might also want to download movies and to then take those movies and watch them on my TV. So these were some of the things that I came up with for desires or problems. And then who has these desires? Who has these problems? I want you to think of at least 2 groups of people that have these problems. So 2 things I thought of were gamers, obviously. This is made for people who are gamers. But then also, I'd say younger people who want to download movies and TV shows, You maybe don't want to pay for a bunch of different streaming services. You just want to like get one file and be done with it. This is probably not a problem that people who are over 50 or 60 might have, for example. So thinking about who might have these problems. So now that you've thought kind of broadly, like that's a pretty broad area. People who download movies, people who game. It's a lot of people. So now you want to start focusing in on, well, yeah, but they've got more specific than one person, like more specific than all those people in mind. For example, this was particularly marketed as an Xbox hard drive. So what I want you to then do is to think about one person who it fits more than anyone else. And you're going to fill out this page and the next page with some information about that person. And I want you to actually like name them and like imagine a picture, like go find a picture online of this type of person. The more that you can identify and the more you can narrow down what the ideal user of this product is, like who the manufacturer, who the person who crafted it had in mind, the more you're going to understand that product, and then the more you can apply that when you create your app. You'll be able to understand exactly who you want to target when you make your pitch. And, you know, for when people go out and actually make these things and try to sell things to people, the more that you can identify the exact person, you know how to talk to them, you know what they want, and you can sell them things in a much clearer way. So in this case, well, what does he do for fun? His passion or hobby? Well, that would be playing Xbox. And where does he spend his weekends? At home, on his computer or his Xbox. What music does he listen to? Metal, specifically Norwegian death metal. His favorite book or movie is Game of Thrones, either the TV show or the book. And he loves George R.R. Martin. And in fact, he also, in the next page, I think that he probably also follows Edward Snowden on Twitter. He reads IO9 to get information on sci-fi and fantasy stuff. What are his personal values? He values loyalty, he values resourcefulness, plays lots of role-playing games. What does he eat? Whatever's easy. He probably eats too much takeout. How does he get to work? Well, he works from home. And so because he works from home, then he wears jeans and a t-shirt a lot. He lives in an apartment in the city, and he's single. I'm thinking that he's a young male under 30 who works in tech. He works remotely, he wears glasses, that kind of a thing. So I'm starting to build in my head what this guy looks like and what he does and what does he do for fun. So now that I'm starting to get an idea of him and starting to build him, I'm going to fill out the next sheet, which is like all just kind of more specifics about him. So I've decided his name is Gamer Jake. I found a stock image online of a tech guy with glasses. So that's Gamer Jake there on the right. He lives in an apartment in the city. He doesn't visit his folks as often as his mom would like him to. He's single. He has a small group of close friends. He works in tech. He works remotely. He usually works from home or from a cafe near his house. He plays co-op games with his friends on the weekend. He has his master's in computer science. I'm thinking that like since he's got his master's, he probably makes like $50,000-$60,000 a year. His apartment's probably like decorated very modernist, very minimal, pared back. He's cool but like understated. Behaviors and values. He's good with computers, so he wants his tech to just work. He values friendship and loyalty. He believes in giving your best at all times. He needs dependability in his tech because he uses it a lot. And he likes things that are no fuss, no muss. So again, like down to the minimalist thing, he doesn't want things that are ostentatious. He wants stuff that like just works, gets the job done. He can depend on it. And yeah, it just kind of fits in with everything else. His interest in his lifestyle. His hobbies, his favorite movies, music, books, influencers, what clothes, what style does he have, what's his food, travel plans. Well, I think his favorite thing to do is to play co-op games with his friends. Now, he prefers sci-fi or fantasy MMORPGs, but first-person shooters will do if that's what they want to play that day. He works from home, so he wears t-shirts and jeans most days with his Warby Parker glasses because he listens to too many podcasts. He doesn't wear Bombas socks, but, he's considered buying them a few times. He definitely eats too much takeout. He definitely follows Edward Snowden on Twitter, and his favorite music is Norwegian death metal. Because, again, he's cool but understated. He prefers books to ebooks because he spends enough time in front of screens for everything else. But he'd rather watch a movie at home than go to the cinema. He spends a lot of time at his local coffee shop when he wants to get out of the house. He did once rent space at a co-working place, but he never went, so he stopped doing that. So, now I'm really getting specific about him. I'm kind of getting to know him. I'm trying to figure out who he is as a person. And the reason that people do this is that, again, when you're thinking about when you want to reach out and market to people, you would address this guy a lot differently than you would address a banker who's in his 50s, who makes $120,000 a year and lives in a mansion. Probably makes more than that. Lives in a mansion, and he lives in the suburbs. You're going to talk to them in a very different way. And so this can really help us when we get to that last part of our final and we're wanting to actually pitch our app to our ideal customer. It can really help us figure out our tone, figure out a color palette, figure out what kind of design choices we want to make, and how we're going to tell our story in a way that really engages them. So that's kind of what we're going to do and why we're going to do it.